Welcome to the Prepare to Shift for Leaders podcast with Dr. Paula Maddox, where each month we explore cutting-edge leadership strategies and best practices that you can apply immediately. Dr. Paula draws from extensive experience working a career with the U.S. federal government and coaching C-suite leaders, executives, and managers from Fortune 50, 100, and 500 companies across the globe. As an author and seasoned executive leadership coach with a doctorate in strategic leadership, Dr. Paula has coached leaders in the U.S. and over 57 countries. By the end of each podcast episode, you'll walk away with proven strategies to lead more effectively, enhance your executive presence, and amplify your leadership impact and influence. Becoming a strategic and impactful leader is challenging, but it's absolutely achievable. Dr. Paula is here to guide and support you on your leadership journey. Here's Dr. Paula.
Hello and Happy New Year, and welcome to the Prepare to Shift podcast series. I am your host, Dr. Paula Maddox, and as an author and global executive leadership coach with nearly 20 years of experience across a wide range of industries in the U.S. and 57 other countries, I've had the privilege of engaging with diverse leaders at all levels. In this podcast series, we will explore leadership topics drawn from real-world observations, insightful conversations, and deep coaching discussions. From the C-suite to thriving entrepreneurs and new hires, this show offers valuable insights and practical advice, no matter where you are in your leadership journey. So I'm thrilled that you're tuning in. So don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast with friends and colleagues. In this series, we will dive into a wide range of leadership topics that resonate with managers and leaders worldwide. So in today's episode, we'll talk about the top leadership trends in 2025 and the skills that will be needed. In today's show, we'll talk about the shifting needs of global companies and businesses that will be happening this year. So, as leaders, what can we do and what should we do to remain sustainable? And in what areas should we consider investing or upgrading ourselves in this year or in the near future? As we all are aware, the world has experienced global economic disruptions in nearly every industry since the COVID pandemic. And the pandemic has changed investor and consumer behaviors, and we know this because we've changed some of our buying habits as well. And it has resulted in businesses and companies just doing business in different ways. And don't forget that workers are also experiencing their own levels of disruption this year, just like they did last year, such as just concerns regarding the presidential election outcome, the emergence of generative AI, layoffs, labor strikes, legal shifts in DE&I, and of course, another biggie is the return to office mandates. And that's just to name a few. So companies are still pivoting in different directions or stripping back to their core mission or pillars. And they're finding ways to reimagine and streamline their operations. And all of this is in an effort to stabilize investor and consumer confidence. So many companies may be hitting their tipping point as it relates to tech and the size of its workforce. The pruning that we've seen in recent years and in recent months reflected more wholesale changes, which have resulted in large waves of massive layoffs. And typically it is a standard, business standard and, operational standard for businesses to at least prune a minimal of 10% each year. Unfortunately, some businesses did not do that annually. So they continued to hire up and bulk up. And now, when the economic, forecast began to really shift in a downward trend, they had no choice but to do massive layoffs. And it's unfortunate that some companies did not plan accordingly. And while it's not possible even today to accurately determine the strategic plan of every company, we can and we should begin to reframe our expectations by preparing ourselves for more types of different disruptions in 2025. And we can take a larger view of the leadership skills that will be needed now and in the near future. So let's talk about 9 trends that will possibly shape work as it has been identified by Gardner researchers in an article that was published in the Harvard Business Review in late 2024. As always, I will leave the web link to the article in my show notes. So let's dive into today's content. As I mentioned, let's talk about 9 possible trends or strategies that have been identified as shaping the way companies will conduct business in 2025, this year. Trend number 1. Organizations will offer creative ways to address work expenses. So travel and commuting costs are considered part of the benefit of working or holding a job, but some companies are hoping to offset some of those costs for workers in an effort to attract and retain top talent. That's the main objective here. So what could some of those subsidies be, and what would they look like? Well, some companies are considering housing subsidies by providing nearby affordable housing or offering company-owned housing near the office to make commutes manageable. In a lot of metropolitan cities around the U.S., we are beginning to see companies and commercial entities buy up a lot of vacant property, which makes it even harder for other residents to purchase property at this point in time. Another benefit they are considering giving workers is caregiver benefits. We're also working in multi-generational workforces right now. There are some generations that feel sandwiched in. They are beginning to get married, start families, and they are also in a responsibility or in a position where they have to care for loved ones. So companies are beginning to consider that a little bit more. They want to offer caregiver benefits. So many workers will need or currently need support with child care, elder care, pet care as some of the subsidies to support a healthy workforce. Companies are also reevaluating their financial well-being programs. If you are not familiar with what your company is offering you as a worker, please contact your human resources department to be sure that you are knowledgeable about these things. You do not want to leave benefits or money on the table. So the financial well-being programs can look like offering personal financial planning, estate planning, or offering money or resources for developmental training or academic educational support. There are some companies that are beginning to look at or may already offer a student loan repayment option. As you know, more than 43 million Americans hold federal student loan debt. That is, 1 in 4 adults under the age of 40 years of age have student loan debt. And that's astonishing in this country. And that equates to a total of $1.6 trillion, according to Pew Research Center. That's a lot of money of debt. So that needs to be addressed as well. And I'm glad to hear that some companies are beginning to revisit that to see what they can do to just support workers in that regard. Trend number 2. AI will create workforce opportunities and not diminish them. It is predicted that generative AI will replace a few jobs, but it will support the redesign of job responsibilities, especially job roles that are text and data-heavy tasks. AI will have an impact on even hiring strategies by identifying talent for new job roles and the skills that will be needed. So it will play an important role in that regard as well. Trend number 3. 4-day work weeks for the same pay are being considered again. The workforce has been, playing with this idea for quite a number of years. Some have gotten close to being able to implement something. But what my research has uncovered is that currently 15 countries have a 4-day work week policy, and it's either in a hybrid format or could be piloted right now or being fully implemented and embedded in law. 15 other countries right now. So, and they have been very successful, and the issue continues to be raised in even union negotiations. And it becomes very relevant and required for a lot of companies simply because there are talent shortages, which are creating pressure to consider this option. Because the objective, again, is to attract and retain top talent and to increase the success of business outcomes. So, companies will continue to rethink the volume and the cadence of work, and they are beginning to consider ways to incorporate more time for workers to focus, collaborate, and brainstorm. That is always great to hear because that's one of the top coaching topics that many of my clients want to discuss and unpack, in today's work culture as well. Now, moving forward, trend number 4, employee conflict resolution is a required skill for everybody and not just for leaders. And this is a hot topic and it comes up continuously. So why is it important? Let's talk about just a few of the reasons because there are many. Here's some data and statistics to consider. According to the July 2024 report published by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, approximately 58.7 million people, 58.7 million people, 18 years old and above, had a mental illness in the past year. And approximately 64.4 million adults, again, 18 years old and above, perceived they had a mental health issue, with 42.7 million of them considered themselves to be in recovery or have already recovered. That's a lot of people. That means we have to consciously and intentionally consider others, value others, be compassionate, be empathetic, and respect others within our workplace. It is also not a secret that the U.S. is the most medicated country in the world when it comes to legalized prescription drugs. And it's unfortunate that we rank last in the quality of healthcare among 9 other high-income countries. That says a lot. That says a lot, people. We have to change the way that we are navigating among others, at home, at work, no matter where we are going. We've got to value other people, just in the same manner that we want to be valued and respected. Another fact and data statistic to consider. We are working in a multi-generational workforce, with each generation defining itself by a different set of values. That means we are working, collaborating, and learning from one another. So think about it for a moment. We've got baby boomers in the workforce. We also have millennials. We have Gen X and Gen Z. So, according to a recent article published by Forbes by Dr. Diane Hamilton, boomers are offering institutional knowledge as they plan retirement. This is true. Millennials, what do they bring to the table? They are stepping into leadership roles, and along with them, their value system. Gen Z, they place a lot of emphasis on mental health and wellness and purpose and diversity. They bring some other benefits along with them. Each generation does. And Gen X, which is a smaller group, but they are known for adaptability when it comes to digital transformation and quiet resilience toward change. So, in the future, Gen Z and Gen Alpha may continue to redefine the work culture as they mature and step into leadership roles. So, we have to consider ways, and we're really required to reset our expectations because each generation is going to begin to morph and to shift this in different ways as life continues to move forward. So we have to reset our expectations and have an open mindset and be accepting of others. And we've got to show more compassion and respect for one another because we are all required to work together and to live together. So there are vast opportunities in this situation for reverse mentorship at our fingertips right now. So what is reverse mentorship? Well, it's an opportunity for younger generations to lead us with AI and digital tools, while seasoned workers provide guidance with strategic insights and historical context. There are benefits moving forward and backwards in this particular scenario. There are benefits for every generation. So it becomes imperative that we also have a generational understanding, and there is an essential skill to navigate organizational and global disruptions. We have to begin to understand each generation. How do they think? How do they strategize? And what are their value systems? All of these things will allow us to decrease the conflicts at work and to increase individual and team performances and increase the opportunity to enjoy psychological safety at work. And that is an important one. And we know that all of these different things within this particular trend are required because it is a fact, and it's unfortunate, that workplace violence has increased in recent years, and that does not have to be. So the workplace bullying has no place, and the lack of respect for others has no place, and undervaluing others has no place at work or anywhere. So please keep that in mind. Trend number 5. Generative AI experiments will yield an increased cost and result in some hard lessons for us. With generative AI comes opportunities, benefits, and some other things to consider as well. We have to solve some business challenges, and generative AI gives us the opportunity to do that. But companies must manage those expectations and assess the risks and look at the security aspects of this and the ethics that is framed around it and possible data breaches. So the generative AI requires ethics, responsibility, sound judgment, and a validity of the data. We can't forget those elements as we're beginning to develop this resource that's available to us right now. Trend number 6. Skill requirements will be more important than academic degrees. And I don't think this particular expectation is surprising to a lot of people, given the cost of higher education in the United States and the amount of student loan debt that's associated with it. A lot of people are burdened down with student loan debt, as we mentioned previously. So many top companies are attracting top talent based on the skills of those workers and their abilities, and not so much about the degrees that they have earned. For example, companies consider workers stars in many instances. The stars stand for skilled through alternative routes, and they represent right now more than 70 million workers in the U.S. alone. That's astonishing. Many top organizations are developing also their own in-house business schools, training programs, and university frameworks. Because a lot of times when you go to higher educational programs and advanced degree programs, we get a lot of theory. We get to learn a lot of things. But companies are gearing toward more specialized skills that you may not pick up in those university programs. So they're beginning to make sure that they have frameworks in educational and academic programs that are more specific and tailored to what they are requiring their workers to do. Okay, we're almost at the end now. Trend number 7 of 9, climate change protection. is slowly becoming a new hiring benefit. As we have seen in recent years, there have been numerous climate impacts, such as storms, excessive heat, excessive cold, wildfires, smoke, and the like. Climate change disaster response plans are being developed by companies, and they offer a lot of employee value. Companies are considering the availability of offering shelter and other provisions such as additional PTO, hardship compensation, and safety equipment to the impacted workers during these natural disasters. And that's great to hear. Also, they're offering more mental health support by expanding their well-being programs by offering counselors and coaches. And I'm glad to hear that as well. Trend number 8. DE&I objectives may shift. And we have seen some shifting in recent months and recent years. Organizational leaders a lot of times don't feel that the DE&I programs are valuable because they're trying to measure them in the same way that they measure other programs. But DE&I program outcomes are very difficult to measure. It's an unfair expectation thinking that you can measure it in the same way as all the other programs that are available. So there will be always a critical need for a diverse and inclusive workforce. We know this. And we just have to find ways to embrace that and to incorporate it into a more strategic framework if that is what is needed. Harvard Business Review predicts we will shift from what these DE&I programs will achieve to how they will achieve high performance in their key objectives. So the new DE&I models may look different in the future, and that's okay. It's more about what they can offer to employees and workers, not just in the DEI realm, but for the organization as a whole. There's a place for everybody at the table. So finally, trend number 9. Traditional career paths will collapse due to workforce change. So traditionally, workers advanced their careers and retired affordably with a pension. Sounds like that was kind of long ago. But today's work culture, employees will shift careers instead of retiring. That includes me and many others. Or they will shift during mid-career, which will give them the availability to diverse their career skills and offerings to others. So companies must work harder to retain top talent with greater flexibility and benefits for their workers. They must take the time to develop robust succession plans to address the ever-changing workforce and workers being hired and those making their exit for a number of life-changing reasons. It becomes essential for companies to continue to cross-train their workers in various pillars and domains as a benefit to increase the diversity of their skills that they can offer to the organization and to grow specialized expertise. There you have it, everyone, my leaders. There you have 9 potential trends for this year that we can begin to look at and reframe our expectations around. Expect multiple workplace changes this year. Expect different work styles and frameworks that will require your flexibility, your agility, and your openness to look at different perspectives and possibly change your mindset. As always, it's your choice to structure your career and your life in a way that works best for you. I just implore you to bring along your best and your ability to reset your expectations, your ability to reset your boundaries, and to bring an open mind to the table. Again, thank you for sharing your time with me today. If this leadership podcast has been helpful to you, please support others in their leadership development as well by smashing the like, follow, subscribe, or share buttons, and feel free to leave a gracious comment. I look forward to joining you, and I look forward to you joining me next month as we unpack another leadership topic that is impacting our work culture today. So, continue to enjoy this month and continue to invest in yourself. And always keep leading well.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Prepare to Shift for Leaders podcast with Dr. Paula Maddox. Be sure to join us again on the first Monday of every month for more powerful leadership strategies. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to follow on Apple or Spotify and leave us a glowing review. For more information about Dr. Paula and to download her free PDF titled Leadership Communications, the Top 5 Tips, please visit her website at www.preparetoshift.com. That is prepare, the number 2, shift.com.